Hello, 7th graders. So today's video again will be a short one as we're just going to review the 9.3 assessment questions. If you have not turned those in, please be sure to do so because I am giving out grades for that. I'm being pretty lenient with the late work. I have not taken off for anybody being late yet, but I do need you to turn it in so it does not go in as a 0 at the end of the quarter. Okay, please do turn those assignments in if you have not done so already. If you have and would like to check your answers, that is what I'm going to do now. So please follow along with me on page 270. You can also look back on your answers to make sure that we are on the correct page. All right, so after reading the section, you should have a pretty good idea of how to answer these questions correctly, especially since you can go back and look in the reading to find your answers. Okay, so let's start with number 1A. Why is the Midwest called the nation's heartland? The Midwest is called the nation's heartland because it is where a majority of the nation's farmland is located. When you think of places such as Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, right, even down into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, okay, a lot of the nation's farmland is going to be located in those places, okay? 1B. Why did family farmers face hard times during the 1980s? So remember, it talks about those family farmers are taking out loans in order to pay for equipment and land and feed and and everything else that farmers need to survive and operate their farms. Okay, and at the same time that they're doing this, okay, they're taking out these loans because they're selling a lot of product. Okay, people are buying lots of food, so therefore the farmers are making pretty good money. However, in the 80s, the United States actually goes into a recession, which means the economy gets kind of bad. People lose their jobs. People don't spend as much money. So therefore, the farmers are not making as much money, even though they now have these loans that they have to pay for. Okay, so because of that, many people have to sell their farms and they have to do all that kind of stuff to larger farms, excuse me, in order to not go bankrupt, do that kind of thing, in order to pay off those loans. So they have to sell off their farms. They kind of lose those small family farms. 1C, what do you think the future holds for family farmers? There are still family farms that exist, okay, but there are not nearly as many as there were before the 1980s, okay, in the early 1900s up to that point. And before that, obviously, there were lots and lots of family farms. That's what people did to feed themselves and others, okay? However, to this day, there are still some people that run family farms, okay? There's enough of them that you probably know someone who runs a family farm, but there are also many, many corporate farms, which are those really big ones. 2A, how did some Midwestern cities get their starts? Okay, if you were growing crops in the Midwest, you had to take them somewhere, right? There weren't enough people in the Midwest in the 1800s and the early 1900s to eat all those crops. So therefore, you had to take them to a city in order to get those crops to other places. Same thing with livestock. Okay, so because you had to take them to a central location, cities often sprung up where people took those commodities such as livestock and products. 2B, how did railroads affect the growth of Midwestern cities? It helped transport things. Obviously, that's the point of a railroad. So people could also move on those rail lines. So Chicago started to become larger. Gary, Indiana. Okay, if you get into St. Louis, Missouri, or obviously I said Chicago already, but places like Milwaukee, okay, all started to get larger because people could now take those rail lines as well, as long as they were using them for food also. 2C, how might Chicago's location affect its growth today? Chicago is located on Lake Michigan, okay, in the northern part of Illinois, pretty close to Indiana, actually. And it's in such a good location that is on Lake Michigan. It can be used for shipping. It's very centrally located, okay, so therefore the size of Chicago grows rapidly. Chicago is a very, very large city in comparison to anything we have in Wisconsin. Okay, it makes Milwaukee look very small. So obviously its location is going to be a key factor to it being so large. If you have questions about anything that we talked about today, please do email me or set up a time to talk about it on Zoom. I will be more than happy to help you. Please make sure you are turning any late assignments in that you have. Check PowerSchool, check your email, stay on top of all that stuff. I hope you're staying healthy and have a good day.